स्वर्ग पर आने का ये एहसास, ये अनुभूति शब्दों से परे है। ये वो नया जम्मू कश्मीर है जिसका इंतजार हम सभी को कई दशकों से था। इस नए जम्मू कश्मीर की आंखों में भविष्य की चमक है।
Welcome to Newsline Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point. Today we will talk about Naya Kashmir. A Naya Kashmir that has emerged ever since the abrogation of Article 370. Kashmir is on an unprecedented path of development, growth, peace and normalcy. Kashmir's new story is one of hope and has moved from the discourse of despondency to development. Prime Minister Modi took part in the Viksit Bharat, Viksit Jammu and Kashmir event today, where he addressed the public in Srinagar. This was his first visit to Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370, and he was welcomed by a huge crowd. Prime Minister Modi spoke at length about the development of J&K after 2019 and said that the future of J&K is bright. Let's take a look at what Naya Kashmir is all about.
ये वो नया जम्मू कश्मीर है जिसके लिए डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी ने बलिदान दिया था। इस नए जम्मू कश्मीर की आंखों में भविष्य की चमक है। इस नए जम्मू कश्मीर के इरादों में चुनौतियों को पार करने का हौसला है। आपके इन मुस्कुराते चेहरे देश देख रहा है और आज 140 करोड़ देशवासी सुकून महसूस कर रहे हैं। आपका दिल मैं जीत पाया हूं और ज्यादा जीतने की कोशिश मेरी जारी रहेगी। और ये मोदी की गारंटी है, मोदी सूझ गारंटी। और आप जानते हैं मोदी की गारंटी यानी गारंटी पूरा होने की गारंटी। साथियों, आज जम्मू कश्मीर विकास की नई ऊंचाइयों को छू रहा है, क्योंकि जम्मू कश्मीर आज खुल करके सांस ले रहा है। बंदिशों से ये आजादी आर्टिकल 370 हटने के बाद आई है। दशकों तक सियासी फायदे के लिए कांग्रेस और उसके साथियों ने 370 के नाम पर जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों को गुमराह किया, देश को गुमराह किया। 370 से फायदा जम्मू कश्मीर को था या कुछ राजनीतिक परिवार वही इसका लाभ उठा रहे थे? जम्मू कश्मीर की आवाम ये सच्चाई जान चुकी है कि उनको गुमराह किया गया था। कुछ परिवारों के फायदे के लिए जम्मू कश्मीर को जंजीरों में जकड़ दिया गया था। आज 370 नहीं है, इसलिए जम्मू कश्मीर के युवाओं की प्रतिभा का पूरा सम्मान हो रहा है, उन्हें नए अवसर मिल रहे हैं। आज यहां सबके लिए समान अधिकार भी है, समान अवसर भी है। पाकिस्तान से आए शरणार्थी, हमारे वाल्मीकि समुदाय के भाई बहन, हमारे सफाई कर्मचारी भाई बहन, इनको वोट देने का अधिकार 70 साल तक नहीं मिला, वो अब मिला है।
So it's a very important interaction which took place. It was not any rally, it was not any sambodhan, it was not any public speech. People on their own walked to the stadium. There are visuals of that. We will be showing you. But I am joined by Arun Jambal, President BJP Youth Wing, Jammu and Kashmir, and Javed Beg, social activist, and formerly associated with Omar Abdullah as his PRO. But first of all, I'll go to Arun Jambal. So how has abrogation of Article 370 contributed in development of Jammu and Kashmir in heralding Naya Kashmir?
First of all, if we'll start from abrogation of Article 370, we have seen for the last 4 years how the scenario has been changed in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And especially we have seen through and through in the last 4 years how the infrastructural development, how the national security scenario, and how everything changed in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. If we'll talk about G20 summit, India held it, and India was the host in the G20 summit, जिसकी एक मीटिंग कश्मीर के अंदर होती है, तो वर्ल्ड के सभी लीडर्स जब कश्मीर में आते हैं तो वो देखते हैं कि 370 के एब्रोगेट और 335A के एब्रोगेशन और 370 के अमेंडमेंट के बाद किस तरीके से यहां पर स्टेबिलिटी और यहां पर इंफ्रा डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है। आज टूरिज्म की वजह से जहां पूरे जम्मू कश्मीर को और कश्मीर घाटी को जाना जा रहा है, वहां पर एक समय पर आतंकवाद और टेररिज्म के नाम पर जाना जाता था, जब हर तीसरे दिन कोई आतंकी घटना होती थी और यहां पर एक इंस्टेबिलिटी का माहौल देखा जाता था। आज जिस तरीके से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपने संबोधन में कहा कि पिछले जो 4-5 साल का समय रहा उसके अंदर कैसा चेंज आया है, और उन्होंने जब वहां पर संवाद किया तो बहुत यंगस्टर्स जिन्होंने स्टार्टअप की स्कीम्स का बेनिफिट लेकर के अपने बिजनेस बनाए, और जो आज खुली फिजाओं के अंदर जम्मू कश्मीर की अपनी इच्छा
बिल्कुल आप सब लोगों से मैं ओपनिंग कमेंट्स ले लूं। दो मेहमान और भी हैं, as I said, Javed Beg and Shaila Rashid, human rights activist, because I had introduced Javed. Javed, first to you, the biggest takeaway of the PM speech today.
For me, it was connecting with the common Kashmiris, especially with the youth. One youth from Pulwama, and he was among the spectators there. He had a wish to meet PM Modi and take a selfie with him. This has happened for the first time, because when I was a youngster, I would also dream, about taking a selfie or getting autograph from my favorite cricketer Sachin Tendulkar, from my favorite film star, or from my favorite political leader. Though I never get a chance so far to get a autograph or selfie with my favorite stars. But today this guy, Nazim from Pulwama, for me that was a kind of very emotional thing when I saw Honorable PM getting connected to common masses. He is a common man, that guy Nazim. He is the common Kashmiri. So that's how the dream of sense of belonging was re-established. That's where PM Modi also said, I have come to bridge the gap between dilon ki duriyan. So I think for me that is the biggest
so that's your takeaway. Shaila Rashid is also with me. Shaila, what's the biggest takeaway? You must have heard Prime Minister speak. So in your opinion, what's the biggest takeaway of his speech?
So first I'll tell you from a human rights perspective, क्योंकि आपने सही कहा कि मैं मानवाधिकार जो है उनको वो इश्यूज मैंने रेज किए हैं, मैं एक एक्टिविस्ट हूँ। जैसे आपने एलजी मनोज सिन्हा जी की स्पीच में सुना होगा, उन्होंने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट बोला। उन्होंने कहा कि आज अब कोई भी माँ जो है उसका बच्चा अंधा नहीं होता पैलेट्स की वजह से। जो पहले जो पूरा साइकिल बना हुआ था, प्रोटेस्ट चलेंगे, फिर पैलेट चलेगा, फिर लोग अपनी विजन गंवाएंगे। वो देखिए सबसे पहला जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है जो हमें हाईलाइट करना चाहिए। अब मेरा क्या टेक अवे है पर्सनली, 2011 में मुझे याद है कि द फॉर्मर प्राइम मिनिस्टर मिस्टर मनमोहन सिंह, वो जब उन्होंने विजिट किया था, मतलब उस टाइम में हमारी सिक्योरिटी की सिचुएशन ऐसी थी कि उस टाइम इंटरनेट, एसएमएस, फोन का टावर सब कुछ बंद कर दिया गया था, बिकॉज सिक्योरिटी सिचुएशन ही ऐसी थी। लेकिन आज आप देखते हैं कि हमारा ब्रॉडबैंड फुल स्पीड पे चल रहा है, 5G चल रहा है। मैं श्रीनगर में बैठ के सोशल मीडिया कैंपेन रन कर रही हूँ। आई थिंक दिस इन इटसेल्फ शोज, और जो मतलब सब लोग कहते हैं कि निजी क्या हुआ है क्या हुआ है, सबसे पहली चीज तो यही बदली है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर का विजिट है और आपको इंटरनेट नहीं बंद करना पड़ रहा, आपको एसएमएस नहीं बंद करना पड़ रहा। दैट इटसेल्फ इज द बिगेस्ट change that we can see. And
Shara,
of course, like people are really,
Shara, that's a very important point you made. That's a very
Yeah.
important point you made. It's like, when dignitaries go generally to areas which are coming back to normalcy, certain SOPs kick into action, like internet gets suspended, you can't call people, mobility around gets restricted. I saw visuals of people actually walking to the stadium, Shaila. I have also covered Kashmir for 2 decades, but I have not seen so many people walking towards rally. Though even in elections, Kashmir has a different flavor, उसका taste अलग है elections का. छोटी रैली होती है, लोग जाते हैं, यहाँ फूल फेंकते हैं, वहाँ कश्मीर में बादाम भी फेंक देते हैं. जब the people come, it has a different flavor. Kashmir has a different political texture. So, is it after a long time, or am I mistaken?
No, you are of course right. And this started, like, we saw the first glimpse of it on 15th of August when the Independence Day rally happened, and people, students, kids were just queuing up outside the Bakshi Stadium. So to participate in the August 15, and that's when I had sort of for the first time pointed it out that this is a new Kashmir, this is a new development. And of course, when you combine it with the persona of the Prime Minister, certainly we did not have a big enough stadium to accommodate all the people. So this rally was being live screened at different places. So some of my volunteers from the social media campaign, they were telling me, ma'am, आपने हमें क्यों नहीं ले गए वहाँ पे? Why didn't you get us? So there was no space left for anybody actually to. There were so many people who were willing to attend the rally, but there was no space. So all of us, we were watching it online on our TVs and everything. So I think, that is a big change. Certainly, it's not something. It can't be denied.
It can be denied. Absolutely. In the first segment, we touched upon Article 370 in terrorism. All of you had your opening comments made. But in the second segment, because it's time for a short break, I'll be specifically talking about things which are not talked about in the Delhi mainstream, which is J&K tourism, which is sports and symbol. I'll also talk about women empowerment and new parties, but it's time for a short break. And then after that, when I'll be back, we'll talk about tourism, dekho apne desh ko, and most importantly, when Prime Minister says sports is key to empowerment and youth development.
मेक इन इंडिया जैसे है ना, वैसे ही एक मूवमेंट चलना चाहिए, वेड इन इंडिया.
Nowadays, you're seeing there is a color palette, a theme, and even a whole designer concept to the wedding.
I think the entire headache which the relatives used to take is now gone to the wedding planner.
And India, in terms of diversity, gives you all the options to do your residential weddings within India itself.
The big fat Indian wedding will end up adding to the growth of India's economy.
So the Prime Minister spoke on multiple issues. This was not a rally on security. This was not a rally on Aspita. This was just not a rally on beating one's chest. There were multiple issues, but I have picked up 3 strands. The first strand was 370 and New Kashmir. The second strand which I have chosen is J&K tourism and sports issues. And why I chose J&K tourism, and I'm using the word Dekho Apna Desh, because that has been the heart and key of the Prime Minister's campaign. It's not a state-specific issue. It's a national issue. It's about economy. Tourism is about employment. Tourism is about soft diplomacy, branding of this country. Let's listen into the Prime Minister.
और अब मैं एक नए क्षेत्र के लिए आपको आह्वान करता हूं. जैसे फिल्म शूटिंग के लिए ये क्षेत्र बड़ा पसंदीदा क्षेत्र रहा है। अब मेरा दूसरा मिशन है वेड इन इंडिया। शादी हिंदुस्तान में करो। हिंदुस्तान के बाहर जो शादी करने के लिए अनाप शनाप रुपये डॉलर खर्च करके लोग आते हैं, जी नहीं, वेड इन इंडिया। अब कश्मीर और जम्मू के लोग, हमारे श्रीनगर के लोग, अब हमें वेड इन इंडिया के लिए लोगों को शादी के लिए यहां आने का मन कर जाए और यहां के पर बुकिंग करे, यहां 3 दिन 4 दिन बारात लेकर के आए, धूमधाम से खर्चा करे, यहां के लोगों को रोजी रोटी मिलेगी। उस अभियान को भी मैं बल दे रहा हूं। और साथियों, जब इरादे नेक हो, संकल्प को सिद्ध करने का जज्बा हो, तो फिर नतीजे भी मिलते हैं। पूरी दुनिया ने देखा कि कैसे यहां जम्मू कश्मीर में G20 का शानदार आयोजन हुआ। कभी लोग कहते थे जम्मू कश्मीर में कौन पर्यटन के लिए जाएगा। आज यहां जम्मू कश्मीर में पर्यटन के सारे रिकॉर्ड टूट रहे हैं। अकेले 2023 में ही 2 करोड़ से ज्यादा पर्यटक यहां आए हैं। जम्मू कश्मीर की उपलब्धियों के बारे में हर बार मौका ले लेता हूं कुछ न कुछ कहने का। यहां साफ सफाई के अभियान, यहां का हस्तशिल्प, यहां की कारीगरी, इन पर मैं मन की बात में लगातार बात करता हूं। एक बार मैंने नदरू के बारे में, कमल ककड़ी के बारे में मन की बात में बहुत विस्तार से बताया था। यहां की झीलों में जगह जगह कमल देखने को मिलते हैं। 50 साल पहले बने जम्मू कश्मीर क्रिकेट एसोसिएशन के लोगों में भी कमल है। ये सुखद संयोग है या कुदरत का कोई इशारा कि बीजेपी का चिन्ह भी कमल है और कमल के साथ तो जम्मू कश्मीर का गहरा नाता है।
Mr. Jamwal, the story of Jammu and Kashmir is not only a political story. I think there are a lot of stories to be told. There is story of entrepreneurship, there is story of creativity. You know, 1.5 years ago, I was in Pulwama, you know, where I could see the mechanization of apple farming. Couple of my friends were running short delivery services, which I found new. I met women rappers, I met women potters, I met women calligraphy, you know, exporting out the stuff from Srinagar. The unique, the urban development mission making smart city of Srinagar, you know, the UNESCO project around it. I think there are multiple stories around it. I met, you know, this footballer who, you know, through his trickery, he has made his name through the world. So Kashmir is just not one story. It's bursting with a lot of stories. Arun?
जी बिल्कुल। जिस तरीके से आज देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने काफी नई स्टार्टअप्स वालों के साथ आज खुद संवाद भी किया, जिसमें हमारे को पैनलिस्ट जुनैद ने भी बात बताई। नाजिम करके जो एक यंगस्टर है जिसने एक स्टार्टअप किया बी कीपिंग और हनी का को लेकर के, और बाद में एफपीओ बनाई और एफपीओ बना करके नाउ ही इज एम्प्लॉइंग एंड ही इज गिविंग एम्प्लॉयमेंट टू मोर देन 100 यंगस्टर्स। तो ऐसा स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी, और जैसे अगर हम स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी की बात करें, जम्मू कश्मीर ने अपनी एक स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी बनाई जिसमें उन्होंने एड देने की बात और यंगस्टर्स को फैसिलिटेट करने की बात की है, और नियर अबाउट 2000 से ज्यादा स्टार्टअप बड़ी जल्द जम्मू कश्मीर में बनने वाले हैं। मैं ये बात बताऊंगा जरूर कि जहां तक टूरिज्म की बात है, जहां तक विंटर स्पोर्ट्स को खेलो इंडिया के तहत लेकर के आने की बात हो, और उसके साथ साथ जो यंगस्टर्स को स्टार्टअप्स के माध्यम से केवल एक एम्प्लॉयमेंट सीकर के नाते नहीं परंतु एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोवाइडर के नाते भी उसको रखना, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा चेंज है जम्मू कश्मीर ने जो पिछले 4 साल के अंदर देखा है, और इसके ऊपर बहुत तेज गति के साथ काम भी हो रहा है। और आज देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इसके बारे में सबके साथ बातचीत भी की और अपने जो स्पीच थी उसमें इसका उल्लेख भी किया।
Okay, very well said. Javed, the last time when I came, everyone says that, everyone has a house in J&K. But I also saw multi-story apartments being built. Cinema, hospitals, those are other stories. But there's also a lifestyle change, I saw multi-story apartments being built. Isn't that new to Jammu and Kashmir? As a child, I felt everyone has a house here, That makes Kashmir Valley very, very different.
Very true. You touched a very emotional question. Cinema, I and people belonging to my generation, we couldn't, enjoy that part of our childhood or youth. Other parts of my country, the youngsters of other states enjoyed. We missed on that. But now, all thanks to this government, which is very strong, again, I must say, sense of security has increased, and now people are able to showcase their talent. People are actually now started exploring their contributions towards Kashmir society. And one part of that is, yes, people have, changed their mindset. New life has been infused into the dull lifestyle of Kashmiris. That I also acknowledge and accept. Cinema part we missed, and now we have a cinema in Srinagar. There are two cinemas coming up, one in Baramulla and one in Anantnag. I, am trying very hard to have at least one cinema in my district. I have been trying and pushing administration and some members of my civil society, because these things we have missed on. The generation next, they are identifying themselves with Ranbir Kapoor, Shahid Kapoor, but we missed on that royalty of 80s, 90s, or even in 2000.
That's very well said. For someone like you to say that you want a cinema hall, but it also brings me to a question, and I would like Shaila to come in. Shaila, it's also about employment. Kashmir also witnesses outward migration, but there has to be a sustainable employment strategy. Do you think that has come into effect, that people can get employed in areas around them? It's good to migrate out, everyone does. People from Lucknow go to Delhi, people from Delhi go to Mumbai, from Mumbai people go to New York, London. So do you think that in last 4 or 5 years, the graphics I was running, the infrastructure projects, yes, it has created material infrastructure. Has it been able to help the human infrastructure in terms of jobs and employment, wealth generation?
As I have mentioned before, the government recruitments which weren't happening for a very long time, they started happening, post abrogation. We saw a very rapid pace, and in a very systematic manner. So that started happening, and a lot of youth, like over 30,000 youth, were trained under the Himayat scheme, which is a skill building scheme. And then a lot of entrepreneurship initiatives are being taken. However, what we really need, because this is a landlocked economy, we don't have a port. So what we need is more futuristic skill generation. And this is something that, I hope to work on in the future. We need to orient people towards the economy that, the global economic trends such as generative AI. That is going to be the big thing in the future. AI is going to dominate the market. So because we are a landlocked, a union territory, and there isn't enough scope. There isn't even, so for example, there are 6,400 acres of land which are, which have been identified for industrial projects. But 50% of it is unusable because it is mountainous. The terrain is difficult. There is, harsh snowfall and all of that. So we need to have more focus on services. And this is something that.
So are you saying that J&K model of development has to be more like Bhutan, high-end ecotourism, high-end tourism?
Yeah, and
global wedding destination, which Turkey did, I think 5 years ago.
Because see, there is a limit to how much we can industrialize. There is a limit on land holdings. Land holdings are very small. So the primary and secondary sector, there's already problems there. We know that already. So the solution out of this, and this should be part of our Viksit Bharat narrative, in a big way, that how we can leverage the new developments such as AI and generative AI. Men and women of Kashmir, so for example, women who, for various reasons, due to childbirth, child rearing, etc., they have career breaks, they cannot step out of home. So how we can bring them, how we can focus on them, and can we speed up their skill development and all of that, and get them to be part of the workforce. And that is how we can. So as Prime Minister Modi also said in various speeches of the Viksit Bharat, that we need to be in the fifth gear. In this Amrit Kal, in these 25 years that are in the run up to our 100 years of independence, we need to now work smartly. We've done a lot of hard work, and yes, of course, we are also focusing on the primary sector in the sense that we are now starting semiconductor manufacturing from zero, from scratch. We are starting, but at the same time, we also need some smart work in terms of how we can smartly leverage the new developments in the global technological market to our advantage, and sort of in the fifth gear make and it's a great catalyst, this vision of Viksit Bharat at 2047. I think it's a great catalyst, and as I would end by saying that the Prime Minister Modi, like he's said in his speech that in one of his speeches that Viksit Bharat will actually come to fruition by individual development. So I have to develop myself. I have to develop my skill set. I have to work for my development. And it's not some kind of like altruistic collectivism, but individualism that will help us in getting there. So that's what we need to focus on, futuristic.
I think very well said, Shaila. It's time for a break, but in the last section, we're going to talk about women empowerment. I think that's something which people don't talk about when it comes to Kashmir. We will talk about the issue of Parivarwad, which the Prime Minister has taken, and the issue of dynasty, and can Kashmir have a new political party? Is Naya Kashmir only an economic Naya Kashmir? Is it a Naya Kashmir only in context of a film hall? Or is it a Naya Kashmir because there is new generation of people like Shaila, people like Arun, who can craft a new political way? Because unless and until you do not craft a new political way, you do not craft a new political language, you do not craft a new political grammar, if you do not craft a new social message which vibes and jibes with the youth, the young, then you cannot have a new Kashmir or a Naya Kashmir. So how is that possible? What more needs to be done? What is being done? We'll talk about it after a short break.
The football is mother of all games.
It is a team sport.
The leadership attitude is taking the ownership.
It's always a big responsibility to take decisions and the right decisions.
I always question the stereotypical.
And that's why you are in that position.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी 9। आजादी पैसे की। अभी डाउनलोड करें।
We are trying a lot of experiments, innovations and ideas.
We came out with a new format in audio, which is audio series.
Listening for content-oriented company in India, which is a very unique proposition.
When we look at audio in general, we had music, which is like extremely old format, and then we had podcasts.
A natural extension to Pocket FM is to move from Hindi to regional content. I think I'd love to see their FY24 numbers, which they claim will be close to 1,000 crores. I think there are talks of them to raise another $80 to $100 million of funding.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. And in this third and the final section, I'm going to talk about Parivarvad. I'm going to talk about the issue of dynasty. And I'm going to talk about the issue of women empowerment, because tomorrow is the day of Nari Shakti. And on that note of Nari Shakti, this show is going to end. So let me play out the bite of the Prime Minister, and I'm joined by my colleague Aditya Rajkol in the studio. Thank you so much, Aditya, for making time. So immediately after the bite of the Prime Minister on Parivarvad, we will have this discussion on dynasty and dynasticism.
जम्मू कश्मीर के विकास से परेशान होकर परिवारवादी लोग मुझ पर व्यक्तिगत हमले कर रहे हैं। ये लोग कह रहे हैं कि मोदी का कोई परिवार नहीं है, लेकिन इन्हें देश इनको करारा जवाब दे रहा है। देश के लोग हर कोने में कह रहे हैं, मैं हूं मोदी का परिवार, मैं हूं मोदी का परिवार। मैंने जम्मू कश्मीर को भी हमेशा अपना परिवार माना है। परिवार के लोग दिल में रहते हैं, मन में रहते हैं। इसलिए कश्मीरियों के दिल में भी यही है कि मैं हूं मोदी का परिवार, मैं हूं मोदी का परिवार। साथियों, जम्मू कश्मीर में परिवारवाद और भ्रष्टाचार का एक बहुत बड़ी भुक्तभोगी रही है हमारी जे.एंड.के बैंक। इस बैंक को तबाह करने में यहां की पहले की सरकारों ने कोई कोर कसर बाकी नहीं छोड़ी थी। बैंक में अपने नाते रिश्तेदारों और भाई भतीजों को भरकर इन परिवारवादियों ने बैंक की कमर तोड़ दी थी। मिसमैनेजमेंट की वजह से बैंक इतना घाटे में गया था कि आप सभी के हजारों करोड़ रुपए डूब जाने का खतरा था। कश्मीर के गरीब आदमी का पैसा था, मेहनतकश इंसान का पैसा था, आप मेरे भाई बहनों का पैसा था, वो डूबने जा रहा था। जे.एंड.के बैंक को बचाने के लिए हमारी सरकार ने एक के बाद एक रिफॉर्म किए। बैंक को 1000 करोड़ रुपए की मदद देना भी तय किया। जे.एंड.के बैंक में जो गलत तरीके से भर्तियां हुई थी, उनके खिलाफ भी हमने सख्त कार्रवाई की। आज भी एंटी करप्शन ब्यूरो ऐसी हजारों भर्तियों की जांच कर रही है। बीते 5 साल में जम्मू कश्मीर के हजारों नौजवानों को पूरी पारदर्शिता के साथ बैंक में नौकरी मिली है। सरकार के निरंतर प्रयासों से आज जे.एंड.के बैंक फिर से मजबूत हो गई है। इस बैंक का मुनाफा, जो डूबने वाली बैंक थी, ये मोदी की गारंटी देखिए, डूबने वाली बैंक थी, आज उसका मुनाफा 1700 करोड़ रुपए तक पहुंच रहा है.
You know, Aditya, yesterday I did a show on a rating on which indices the Prime Minister is doing well. I was very surprised that the maximum number Prime Minister got was on education, sanitation, environment and pollution, something which is directly related to the civic sector. The corruption and other hard issues were at the bottom end. But the real issues on which he was being appreciated was sanitation, cleanliness. You know, in Kashmir, you know, Prime Minister has spoken about multiple issues. I think it was less of a political speech and more of a civic and social speech. But he has chosen the issue of dynasty. In your opinion, do you think that dynasticism in Kashmir created a roadblock to reform and progress and did not allow a vibrant middle class to emerge?
Karthikeya, firstly, what Prime Minister said there, and Prime Minister's visit to Kashmir in itself, the very first after the abrogation of Article 370, the historic step that the Modi government took, is in itself a message. But in his speech, through his actions, through the photographs or the selfies that he took, there are multiple layered messages in every step that he took in Kashmir today. For me personally, I will begin by saying that even not his speech, but him landing at the Badami Bagh cantonment, and the first thing that he does is bow towards the Shankaracharya hill, is a loud and clear message. I don't think any Prime Minister has done this, because in many ways Shankaracharya has not been touched even by terrorists in the last 30 years. It has stood there. There have been attempts by politicians to name it wrongly, not just politicians, by radicals, by Islamists, as Takht-e Suleiman, which it isn't. It's the Shankaracharya hill. It's a history of Adi Shankara. It has been a great center of learning and teaching. Apart from that, a lot of half-truths, a lot of corruption, a lot of negativity and a lot of propaganda has survived in Kashmir over these 3 decades, where the two main political families of the Kashmir Valley, 2 to 3 maybe, who have said that and fooled Kashmiris that autonomy and self-rule will be given to them. They are not Indians. They are something special, and a special status is something that they deserve, and that's why they kept on asking for loans from Kashmir. They kept on asking that New Delhi should survive and believe only in National Conference and PDP and their flag and their agenda, and the entire myth has been busted on 5th August 2019. And now that the Prime Minister speaks about tourism sector, he speaks about more job guarantees, more financial aid, more development. He doesn't only speak or do propaganda, he actually means business has made it happen.
This is a very important picture.
Yes.
Please tell me, what does it tell so that the larger viewers can understand?
This
is
a
Naseem. Very important picture.
You know, this is Naseem. He was one of the people who was in the rally, and there were quite a few thousand people. Claim that there were 1 lakh to 2 lakh people in that rally in the Bakshi Stadium today. And this person stood up and told the Prime Minister that it's my dream to click a selfie with you. I have clicked a selfie in one of the booths with your portrait, but I actually, now that you're here in Kashmir, want to go there. So the Prime Minister requested the SPG that after the rally, please bring in Naseem to me, and I want to click a selfie with him. So this is the kind of connect and rapport. And last point, Karthikeya, is that I'm not saying that the BJP will win election in the Kashmir Valley. I'm not saying that the BJP will form the government in the Kashmir Valley and will have their chief minister. But I'm saying that the BJP is making a road to recovery that no government in Kashmir or New Delhi has been able to do in the last 70 years. And Prime Minister Modi's vision has been proven on ground. They are making inroads, and that's why Umar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti are a bit jittery, and they are claiming these WhatsApp pictures on Twitter saying that crowds were built in. We know how politicians bring in crowds. Same way Umar Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti have brought in crowds in the past. So the reality is that the BJP or Modi is trying to build bridges, trying to make inroads for the BJP, but for the larger interest of India and Kashmir. On a day when Modi had a successful visit to Kashmir, Prime Minister of Pakistan is also thanking him for the wishes on becoming the new Prime Minister. So there is a lot of messaging here, but I think the government certainly needs to build in consistency in the Kashmir Valley. A lot of messaging has gone through, and this is certainly an election year. Lok Sabha elections will be happening in a few weeks from now, and we'll know how the BJP and their alliance really performs there. But certainly it's been a historic and a very successful visit, and certainly the BJP leaders, the government, the administration there will have to build on this progress, on this promise that Prime Minister has made to the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Shaila, I think the imagination of Prime Minister in context of Kashmir also envisages Nari Shakti. What do you have to say? I was playing out all those graphics and with purpose so that the people understand it's not the faff I'm discussing here. These are the things which have happened. Hui hai.
So there are two things which have happened, certainly. First of all, just give me a second. First of all, there is a change in the perception at a psychological level. Women feel that someone has their back now, that if they come out and they run startups or if they, go for athletics, there won't be any backlash and there won't be any threats. So first is the psychological shift in mindset that has happened, that women now feel that they can come out. And at the second level, what has happened is a very deliberate targeting of women through welfare schemes, entrepreneurship schemes, and just foregrounding women in the development narrative, as we have seen the world over. All stories of development, sort of like studies on governance will tell you that women are the better targets, because when you give money to women, you can be sure that it won't be spent on alcohol or smoking or any of those things. It will actually be spent for the development of the family. So this very deliberate focus of the administration on welfare, women-centric welfare and women-centric schemes, I think that has actually helped uplift families and enhance family incomes throughout Kashmir. And once people see that women can also be entrepreneurs and they can also sort of like raise the family income, there will be more women who will be encouraged to do that. So, for example, you actually gave good examples of, you were showing these visuals of Shafia Shafi, who is a calligraphy artist, and there are other, many other women. So this Ehtisham, who spoke at the rally today, who interacted with the PM, she's running a bakery shop. For the longest time in Kashmir, we used to think, I'm telling you from a local perspective, कि बस मतलब डॉक्टरी और इंजीनियरिंग में ही इज्जत है. तो ये जो माइंडसेट शिफ्ट हुआ है ना, मतलब एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती थी जब तक आपको सरकारी नौकरी नहीं मिलेगी आपकी शादी नहीं हो सकती. तो ये जो एक माइंडसेट शिफ्ट है कि एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप is an honorable business, it is a respectable thing to do. That is something that we see resonating in PM's speech. We see a great focus on entrepreneurship throughout because there is a limit to how many government jobs we can have.
Absolutely, Shaila, there is no doubt. I think those are relevant points you are trying to make. You wanted to say something, Aditya?
I just wanted to say, as a Kashmiri, not as a journalist speaking here on your show, Kartike, I want to state that Kashmir is a land of Haba Khatun. Kashmir is a land of Lalwak, of Laleshwari. And we have grown up listening to these anecdotes, these living legends who have been there for a very long time. They may not be there, but the texts really reflect the reality of the rich cultural past that Kashmir has really had, the heritage that we have had. And in these last 40 to 50 years, especially last 30 to 35 years, we have had death, mayhem, violence. Especially the women of Jammu and Kashmir have suffered immensely. Shaila spoke about the beauty parlors. I know of places in South Kashmir where beauty parlors were attacked. The women in beauty parlors were attacked. They were forced to not go there. There were grenade attacks that took place. Similarly with cinema halls. So this culture, this kind of liberal arts, liberal ideas have to be revived, have been revived in the last few years. Much more needs to be done. I think the women need to be empowered a lot more, not just limited to entrepreneurial skills, but I think the society dynamics, mindset need to change, just like women in Delhi, Mumbai, or any part of the country are enjoying their freedom. I think the Kashmiri women should enjoy a similar way. The law of Article 370 and 35A, Kartike, discriminated with the women and said that any time you marry outside Kashmir, anywhere in the world, you do not get the property rights. And that has been busted completely now.
This is what you were talking about, Aditya. This is what you were talking about. Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, standing in front of the hill, on top stands the temple of Shankaracharya, called Shankaracharya temple. It's a Shiva's temple. Absolutely. It's called Shankaracharya's temple. And he did it. It's extremely significant. He couldn't go there. It was a tight schedule, but he did it. It has a lot of significance. I'm really short of time, but there's a beautiful documentary which I made for News 9 Plus. It's about women who have reassembled their life. And this reassembling of life happened after 2019 when the Article 370 was abrogated. And how did it touch them? And one of them was also a victim of triple talaq. I was able to get them on board. Have a look at this documentary. It will tell you how the life of women is changing in Jammu and Kashmir. So this was our special edition on Naya Kashmir.
It's the summer of 2022 in the Kashmir Valley. A record number of tourists have arrived post-COVID. But the valley waits to welcome another guest. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, is set to visit Srinagar on the 3rd anniversary of the abrogation of Articles 370 and 35A. Unlike his past visits, there are no calls for shutdowns, no stone pelting, strikes or protests. The narrative in Kashmir is changing. The past 3 years have seen an unprecedented change in the lives of the people of the Union Territory of J&K. The youth of the valley dream of a new future. Startups have now replaced shutdowns. Songs of hope drown the calls for separation. A new era dawns in Kashmir.
क्या चल रहा है दब रही आवाज यहाँ है बोला जो खिलाफ तो बोलेंगे लिहाज कहाँ है बदलेगा लिहाज भी बदलेगा इतिहास भी बदलेगा समाज भी बदलेगा समाज ही बदलेगा लिहाज भी बदलेगा समाज भी बदलेगा समाज ही
I was like in the peak of my life and suddenly few things happened in my personal life and it was a very sharp downfall. Such a downfall that I was into acute depression. In the depression where there were suicidal thoughts. And it was like the things I used to love or like, I gave up on those things. So at that stage, I thought I should do something which I love to do, which I will like feel good for my mind. I was inclined towards pottery or pottery products from the beginning of life. And I used to like these pottery products a lot. They are really available in the shrine areas. I correlated my life with this pottery sector. Flew to Bangalore for some months and I learned it there and I became potter, first potter from my family. This clay, ये मिट्टी जो है ये कुछ भी नहीं बोलती. It molds in the way you want to mold it and it soothes you. It is really therapeutic. You just forget about the world. The second life is given to me by the pottery and it has become so important in my life that after my religion, because religion is something very personal to everyone, after that if there is something that is pottery, because it gave me the hope to live and it's something that make me understand the real meaning of life. There are many opportunities now here which can be converted into professions and people are, youngsters particularly because of the era of the social media and so much exposure and because we are connected to the rest of the world now. Recently there were a large number of people from international from Dubai or from many countries who visited the valley and there were the stalls installed and there were many entrepreneurs who were sponsored by them for the initiations and all. So these are the changes, yes, definitely. I believe youth requires the real identity, basically, the love. I guess love can mold anything. You are valued and you are respected. If you're respected, I guess you find your own ways to how to make it big.
हाँ बहुत कुछ है कहना अब और नहीं सहना दम घुट रहा मेरा अब इधर नहीं रहना हयात को छोड़ो यहाँ मुर्दों को ना बख्शा इंसानियत खा गई ये गुमराही का रास्ता भूखे दरिंदों ने यहाँ खौफ फैलाया हैवानियत को देखो यहाँ बच्चों को बहलाया
2016 में कश्मीर में हालात ख़राब हुए थे और उसके बाद इंटरनेट तो बंद ही रहा, स्कूल्स कॉलेजेस तो बंद ही रहे, कुछ करने को था ही नहीं और मेरा सारा अटेंशन फुटबॉल की तरफ गया यही 7 महीने। उसके बाद इंटरनेट रेस्टोर हुआ तो अब मैं थोड़ा बहुत पैशनेट हुआ था फुटबॉल के रिलेटेड मैंने फुटबॉल वीडियोस खेलने स्टार्ट किए। यूट्यूब से मैंने कुछ वीडियोस देखे, ट्यूटोरियल्स होते हैं, स्किल्स होते हैं या ड्रिबलिंग होते हैं। ऐसे में एक दिन वीडियोस स्क्रॉल कर रहा था यूट्यूब पे और एक वीडियो आ गया कि मैं देख रहा हूँ एक ग्रुप है, वो कुछ फुटबॉल के साथ, मतलब वो फुटबॉल नहीं खेल रहे हैं, वो कुछ ट्रिक कर रहे हैं। उनने एक बकेट लाया और उस बकेट में वो बॉल डाल रहे हैं कुछ स्किल करके, चिप करके। जब मैंने उनके वीडियोस देखे तो मैंने भी स्टार्ट किया, मैंने रेप्लिकेट किया, मैंने उनके वीडियोस कॉपी किए, थोड़े सिंपल से वीडियोस बनाए और मैंने रिस्पॉन्स चेक किया इंटरनेट पे। कश्मीर के लोकल मीडिया उन्होंने मुझे फीचर किया, मेरे फुटबॉल ट्रिक शॉट्स को कवर किया और फिर आगे जाके जब मुझे लगा कि हाँ मैं सही जा रहा हूँ, देन आई कंटिन्यूड इट और तब से 4 साल हो गए। मुझे पिछले साल तक कोई नहीं जानता था और पिछले साल से मुझे लगता है कि अब बहुत सारे लोग मुझे जानते हैं क्योंकि मेरे को ज़्यादा फीचर किया जा रहा है ट्विटर पे, सोशल मीडिया पे। कश्मीर में जो यूथ है, जो टैलेंटेड यूथ है, उनको प्लेटफॉर्म मिल रहा है और उनको सपोर्ट किया जा रहा है। और मैं चाहूँगा कि आगे भी ऐसे ही जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट है या जो हमारी यहाँ पे कश्मीर के लोग हैं वो सपोर्ट करे टैलेंट को, वो ऐसे लोगों को जो हम कश्मीर को इंटरनेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म पे रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, मेडल जीत के ला रहे हैं। अभी मैं ये जो बात बोल रहा हूँ मुझे नहीं पता आधे लोग हंसेंगे, क्या रिएक्शन देंगे। मेरा एम है कि मैं पीएम तक पहुँचूँ, उनके वो मेरा वीडियो ट्वीट करे, क्योंकि बहुत सारों ने किया भी है। अगर आपने देखा होगा कि आरिफ खान जो चाइना गए थे ओलंपिक के लिए, सादिया तारिक हाल ही में जिनने रशिया में जब वहाँ पे वार चल रहा था उन्होंने वहाँ पे मेडल जीता, वो कश्मीर से है। तजमुल इस्लाम वर्ल्ड चैंपियन है वो टाइकांडो की, सॉरी किक बॉक्सिंग की। और बहुत सारे एक आफरीन भी है टाइकांडो की, बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं। क्रिकेट में है अब्दुल समद है, जम्मू कश्मीर से हम बात करें इमरान मलिक। तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है इस टाइम पे कि हमारे जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर है मोदी जी, वो ऐसे लोगों को सपोर्ट करता है कि आप खुद समझ सकते हैं, ऐसे टैलेंटेड लोगों को होप मिलती है, मोटिवेशन मिलती है या इंस्पायर हो जाते हैं और वो हमारे लिए मस्ट है। आप अगर मेरा ट्विटर देखेंगे, मैं हर किसी वीडियो पे अपने सिर्फ हमारे जो पीएम मोदी हैं उनको मेंशन करता हूँ, उनको टैग करता हूँ और ताकि वो मेरे वीडियोस देखे, वो भी शेयर करे। तो बस ट्विटर ये एक मेरे लिए वे है जहाँ पे वो मुझे मेरे तक पहुँच सकते, मेरी वीडियोस तक।
चुप हो जा कब तक सुनूंगी, उठी आज आवाज तो लफ्जों से बंदूंगी। साफ होगी सोच तो साफ होगा समाज भी, औरत एक हिम्मत है सब बदलेगा आज ही, औरत एक हिम्मत है सब बदलेगा आज ही, औरत एक हिम्मत है।
बहुत सारी पर्सनल चीज़ें रही है, मुझे कभी खुद को एक्सप्रेस करना नहीं आया किसी के सामने। मेरे बहुत कम फ्रेंड्स थे और जो भी थे मैं एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पाती थी खुद को अच्छे से। जो भी आप अंदर से फील करते हो, जो भी आपके इनर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते हैं, कभी ना कभी कोई ना कोई ऐसा टाइम आ जाता है व्हेन दे फाइंड आउट अवेंट। मैंने लिखना स्टार्ट किया बट वो एक ना वो सुकून नहीं मिला लिखने से। So then accidentally one day I just made something and next day my friend told कि आपने वो बहुत अच्छा बनाया था। I could feel the pain in the painting. When I came in college, there was this competition on, I guess, Digital India something, and I won a first award on that. So that gave me a little boost. मैं हमेशा जाती थी fine arts, and I used to love watch them, doing stuff, painting, and they used to paint on. I first saw them painting on a fallen chinar, and that was the first time I painted again. And on that chinar, I painted simple lips of a girl, and they were chained. And its caption said, "Congrats, it's a girl." So I just wanted to give a message to all the women out there around the globe that you don't have to be chained, you don't have to be bound, you just have to be yourself. And that is the message in my paintings. I just see myself throughout the years when I check my canvas, I check my paintings. मैं अपना past देखती हूँ, अपनी life देखती हूँ. So I kind of documented my life in the canvas. So जो भी मैंने paint किया, it's revolving around a woman. And at the same time it's giving a message to everybody out there, every woman out there कि आप strong रहिए, आपके साथ जो भी हो रहा है, just hang in there a little more. So that is the message. जैसे मेरे काम में एक पर्सनल टच है, वैसे ही मुझे लगता है कि लोग आ रहे हैं बाहर, they want to speak, you know, they want to tell the world that this is my story and this can be the story of many other people around the globe. Because I feel कि एक ऐसा ट्रेंड आ गया है जो सोशल मीडिया पे काफ़ी देखने को मिलता है। कश्मीर में ऐसा नहीं था। आई पर्सनली टेल यू, मेरा बिजनेस भी सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू ही ग्रो हुआ। सो मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था, कभी डिसाइडेड नहीं था कि ऐसा कुछ करना है, बट जो भी हुआ सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू हुआ। 10 years from now I'll be sitting in my small gallery with a small coffee shop and I'll be baking some yummy cakes and I'll be painting, yeah.
हाँ, बदलेगा समाज भी, बदलेगा समाज भी, बदलेगा लिहाज भी, बदलेगा इतिहास भी, बदलेगा समाज भी, बदलेगा समाज भी। In 2015, I was in class 2nd and I worked with Salman Khan in movie Bajrangi Bhaijaan, and like it was very honor for me to work with Salman Khan and I'm a very big fan of him. So उसके बाद like I worked as a body double of Harshali Malhotra, which is Munni in the movie. तो मतलब बहुत इंटरेस्ट पूरा एक्टिंग की तरफ चला गया। फिर जैसे मैंने बोला कि मैंने 2nd क्लास में ही हनी सिंह का म्यूज़िक सुना, तो पता चला कि रैप टाइप का भी कुछ म्यूज़िक होता है, हिप हॉप भी कुछ है। तो उसके बाद मैं करती थी रैप, ऐसे स्कूल में कुछ इवेंट्स होते थे कुछ, तो मैं करती थी रैप, बट ऐसा कभी नहीं सोचा कि आई विल मेक इट माई पैशन, मैं इसको अपना पैशन बनाऊंगी, मैं रैपर बनूंगी। मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली स्कूल की तरफ से ही कि एक इवेंट हो रहा है डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे, सो इट्स अ रैप बैटल 2021। तो मैं गई वहाँ एंड वहाँ पे 15 बॉयज़ थे एंड आई वाज ओनली 1 गर्ल। जैसे ही मेरा नाम अनाउंस किया कि पहली बार एक लड़की आई है रैप बैटल में, एंड जब मैं गई स्टेज पे सब लोगों ने हंसी स्टार्ट की, बॉयज़ मैन ओवर देयर। तो मैंने अब जैसे अपना परफॉर्मेंस दिया एंड आई सिक्योर्ड द फर्स्ट पोजीशन ओवर देयर। सो वो एक चीज़ थी जब मुझे लगा कि हाँ मैं आगे जा सकती हूँ। लाइक पहले जिन लोगों ने मतलब मुझ पे हंसा, जब मुझे पोजीशन मिली, सो दे केम फॉर ऑटोग्राफ एंड ऑल फोटोग्राफ्स एंड ऑल दैट। जब मुझ पे लोगों ने वहाँ पे हंसा तो उस टाइम मुझे लगा कि आई हैव टू पिक अप औरत। मैंने सोशल इश्यूज़ को देखा कि क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा, तो वो सारी चीज़ें मैंने राइट डाउन की एंड आई रोट अ रैप विच इज़ औरत, जिसका नाम है। जो वो हंसी थी मेरे ऊपर, शायद वही एक चीज़ थी जिससे मैं ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग बनी एंड मुझे लगा कि हाँ अब औरत को उठाने का समय आ गया है। हर एक चीज़ में औरतें आगे हैं। जैसे क्रिकेटर एक है कश्मीर के, उनका नाम है इकरा, जिन्होंने मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा मोटिवेट किया है। तो उन्होंने घर पे बोला मुझे क्रिकेटर बनना है, सो उनके भाई ने उन्हें मारा पीटा, बोला नहीं आप कैसे बनोगी वो है, बट शी इज़ प्लेइंग राइट नाउ फॉर इंडिया। कुछ लोग की है सोच वैसे ही पुरानी, बट थोड़ा समय लगेगा, बट एक दिन सब ठीक हो जाएगा, लोगों की सोच बदलेगी। शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, माय फादर, माय मदर एंड आई हैव 2 sisters, so they are very supportive. They always show their support and they tell me, like my father tell me that whatever you want to do it because it's your life and nobody can snatch it. So आप जो भी करना चाहते हो करो, दिल से करो, और आपका इंटरेस्ट है रैपिंग में, आपका पैशन है, तो आप आगे लेके जाओ। चल आगे बढ़, कर तू पूरे अपने ड्रीम्स, सपने होंगे पूरे तो होंगी पूरी तेरी नीड्स। कश्मीर की पायलट नाम समी आरा, बन गई है आज वो आसमां का सितारा। चल आगे बढ़, खोल तू अपनी ये जंजीर, ना कर लोगों की बातें, मरा अपनी ही तकदीर। है तुझ में हिम्मत आसमां को छूने की, मिलेगा एक दिन फल जो स्ट्रगल तूने की।
Kashmir narrative has started to change. Earlier, the Kashmir narrative was dominated by terrorism, it was dominated by separatists, dominated by election cycles, stone pelting, violence, and decisions taken in Srinagar and Delhi. But today, the narrative has moved on. The decisions are being taken locally, and the narrative has shifted from bigger political issues to social and cultural realities with which the youth of Kashmir is trying to engage with. And that narrative is making the difference. And that narrative is focused on youth so that they can get integrated with the mainstream. And when I use the word mainstream, I don't use the word Indian mainstream. I use the word national mainstream. And national mainstream is about seamless transition from Srinagar to Mumbai, Mumbai to Chennai, Chennai to Srinagar, Srinagar to Calcutta. And I think that's the integration which the Kashmiri youth is looking forward to engage with, because it is providing them cultural and social space which was not available to them 5 years or even 10 years ago.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.